I cannot actually believe this. The game director, Aaron Keller, it's Aaron, I know, is back with another update. I can't believe it. It's beautiful. I love to see this stuff. So let's get stuck into it because there's a bunch of information here. And he starts off with an apology. I cannot believe it. Also, we're going to talk about the new Overwatch 2 game mode, which is going to launch with a bunch of maps because we've got a bit of extra information on that. So let's do it. So Aaron Keller is back and he says this. It's the director's take, mapping out the future. And he says, hi all, we're back a little earlier than we had originally planned. Think of this as a bonus dev chat. We're going to mostly focus on maps and level design this go around. Off we go. Okay, off we go. So he starts off talking about map pools. You were right and we were wrong. I can't believe it. So, wow, map pools are going away starting in Season 4. We aim to provide a bit of freshness each season and concentrate the number of maps that people were playing. However, player sentiment around map pools was pretty low. The map roster didn't have enough maps where we truly needed them, and the impact they had on seasonal identity was fairly low. Additionally, the cadence for maps leaving and returning to the pool didn't align with the time it took to make changes to the maps. Gibraltar was supposed to return in Season 4, but the playtesting and iteration we were doing for the map started calling that deadline into question. There's the possibility that we bring map pools back in the far future when we've got a lot more maps in the game. If we were to bring them back, they would probably rotate at a faster rate, potentially every week. If you hate this idea, set a reminder for 2 years from now and let us know. Okay, right, so map pools are going the way of the dodo. They are dead. This is good news. Nobody liked map pools. I don't even know how they would come to a decision thinking it was a good idea to implement them in the first place. The idea of them giving seasonal identity is like, yeah, no. I mean, the seasons last for 9 weeks. And you're not going to, like, when you're constantly going into Midtown and then you're going into Colosseo, then you're going back into Midtown and you're going into Colosseo. That's what it felt like to me. It's like, okay, yeah, the Midtown's okay. Colosseo, a bit questionable. But, like, you know, each to their own when it comes to what you think about the maps. But playing the same maps over and over again is not great, especially when we know there are tons of maps in this game. Now, yeah, granted, some maps are being worked on. He does touch on Gibraltar being worked on, which is fine. And he does give more information on that in this post, which we'll get onto in a second. But yeah, this is good news. I don't think anyone really liked map pools. It just restricted, well, the maps you could play on for basically no reason. The idea of saying it was for seasonal identity, I don't think is really good. So yeah, bad decision, but they're going back on it. This is good. Good stuff. So what about map frequency? Well, he says this. Some players seem to think that we set the frequency of maps in the pool higher for new maps and game modes. The example we hear a lot is that Colosseo comes up much more frequently than other maps, and I'd agree with that. I feel like it does. We don't have any special code that prefers one map over another. However, it is not entirely random. We have been looking into this based off player reports, and there is a detail of the matchmaking system that does elevate push maps a bit. The matchmaker tries to avoid people playing the same map as well as the same game mode over a short period of time. Since push has fewer maps than the other game modes, this could cause those maps to come up more frequently than game modes with more maps. We're looking into a way to mitigate this, targeted for a future season. This is even more important considering we have another new game mode with new maps scheduled for a seasonal release later this year. So I really like this. This is a lot of detail here. This is them not just going, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, and yet really there is, and we'll fix it. This is him actually going, yeah, look, we didn't intend for this to happen, but it's happening. He gives a breakdown of why it's happening and says that it's going to get fixed. It's beautiful. Like, I really love this level of communication because you know, when I was reading through this the first time, I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm playing Colosseo a lot. I hope he's not about to say, oh yeah, and by the way, you know, you're just making it up. It's in your head. It's like, no, actually, you do play on push maps a lot. Now, I would say my personal opinion on push, I don't mind Esperanza. Like, I really don't mind that map, but New Queen Street, I no thank you. And Colosseo, I mean, it looks nice, but also no thank you. Yeah. This is where he touches on Gibraltar. And he says, do you ever spawn on defense in Gibraltar right before the first checkpoint is reached and wonder whether you'll get back to your team alive without getting caught outside of spawn? Well, the question to that, Aaron, is no. Like, if that happens, you die because you spawn and you're like, oh, well, You either run out of the left-hand side of the spawn and hope to get away, or you just go out the right of the spawn and just die because the enemy team are rushing you down and you're going to get killed. Anyway, he says, this problem has gone on too long, which I agree with. We've looked into level design changes to fix this problem in several maps, and we'll probably use that in a few places, but those have the possibility of opening new flanking routes for the offense, and we prefer to avoid that. So we're talking about solutions that don't necessitate map changes. This probably won't hit Season 4, but it's in the works. Cool, I like it. I like getting bits of teasers as to future content. It's very nice. And yeah, that is an issue, right? So I'm glad they're looking at that. It then says, one last non-map related item. We heard from players that event challenges focused too heavily on playing the event's game mode. We've changed our values here. We're shifting direction to include more challenges that let you play the way you prefer while still introducing event game modes. Some of the event challenges will reflect these changes in Season 3. We'll continue to monitor and change in the future if it doesn't feel right. That's it. Keep the feedback, critiques, communication, comment. This is great, right? Now, I was moaning about we don't get any, lead developers and whatnot talking in any kind of official capacity. Years and years ago in the past, we got Jeff Kaplan and he'd be on the forums, and there was a bunch of other lead developers would also be spamming the forums. It was great, but you had to sit there and go through the forums, find all this information out, yada, 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 yada. This is much better, right? Like a nice sort of... You can see that this is written by Aaron as well. This doesn't look like something that's gone through a PR machine. It's like him just banging out what they're working on and throwing it out the door. This is nice. In a way, this is a forum post with, the ability to not actually respond. Well, I guess you can respond to this when it's on the Overwatch blog, and I think it links to the forum, so I guess in a way it kind of is. But it's nice having it all together, and it's nice having this coherent breakdown of what's being worked on. I think it's really cool. I want to see more of this, and like he says, this is kind of like a bonus dev chat, so I can't wait to see what we get in the next coming days. Again, like, it just seems to be so much stuff going on with Overwatch now, and it feels alive. That's the key thing. It feels like there's momentum behind the game, and I absolutely love that. So yesterday, we got the news of the new map, the Antarctic Peninsula map, which is cool, which is great. I actually made a short on it. Do go and check that out. If you guys are watching this video now, like, go and click the shorts tab and you'll see all the shorts that I've been making, because I kind of put little bits of news and like updates out through shorts, which is pretty cool, so go and check that out. But yeah, the new map's coming out, but I think yesterday there seems to have been some sort of an NDA lift for press, because they started talking about a lot of stuff. They started talking about the new map, the way you can kind of fish on it, which actually is just firing into a hole in the ground, like a fishing hole, and fish flies out. It's a cool Easter egg, but it's not actually fishing, so don't get your hopes up there. There's also penguins on the map and all that stuff. But Dexerto, I've got a bunch of articles out, and one of them talks about the new game mode, and this is what they say. Although Blizzard has yet to reveal how the upcoming game mode will work or its objectives, the devs have stated that its maps will be the biggest in the game yet. During a recent interview about Overwatch 2's newest Antarctic Peninsula control map, we asked the developers about trying to maintain an even amount of maps across all modes and the release of the next game type, or the release of the next game type. There you go. I don't know what, like, I've literally lost the ability to read in the last few days. Like, what is going on? And they then go on to say, according to Overwatch 2's art director, Dion Rogers, the team actively tries to have an even number of maps per game mode, but there will be times when it is not the case. We might have an idea for a payload map that just bubbles up, and if the team is super excited by it, well, then we'll do that first, he explained. But generally, we like to keep a balance. We never want one game mode to outstretch another. As for new game modes coming to Overwatch 2, the developer made it clear that the team would very likely always release a new mode with more than just a single map for players at launch. We probably would never release a new game mode with just more than one map. So our goal is to give a nice variety on it, so you can get a sense of strategy on one type of layout, that you can get a sense of strategy on another. So generally, we strive for balance, but it doesn't always mean there is an even amount of maps. Now, this is pretty cool, right? Because this means we're going to get a new game mode fairly soon. And why I wanted to bring this up in the video is they wouldn't be talking about this. They wouldn't even really be answering questions about it unless this was something which is coming fairly soon. Now, whether this will come out in Season 3, I don't know. I think it would be a massive barrage on the player base if it did, in a good way, because we don't have a hero this season. We already seem to be getting a hell of a lot of stuff already. We're getting tons of balance changes. We get all kinds of stuff coming at the start of the season. Then, where do we go from there? Like, what's going to happen later on in the season? What's the limited time mode going to be? Are we going to get one or two of those? How are they going to compensate for the lack of the hero? This is the big question I've got. a new game mode would fit into that. And it kind of makes sense in my head if this comes out later on in the season. Because can you imagine that? Like if every 2 weeks in the season something big was happening, or every maybe 2.5 weeks, boom, boom, boom. Because when we look back at season 2, let's just ignore season 1 because we've been over that and we've done that to death. But when we look back at season 2, I think there's some very big gaps in what was happening in that season. I mean, notably, the game wasn't patched at all very fast. So hopefully that changes. But also we need to see things like the battle pass being upgraded, which we know it is being upgraded. We know there's now going to be Overwatch credits, not the premium currency, mind you, but the Overwatch credits, which are currently the Overwatch legacy credits, will be available to earn in the battle pass. You can get 1,500 of them for free, which will then let you buy a legendary skin, an old legendary skin that isn't a new legendary skin from any Overwatch 2 event, but all of the old Overwatch 1 skins will be available. And of course, you'll be able to buy all of the skins from any event. It just doesn't matter what seasonal event they're from. This is good stuff, guys, and I kind of want to leave the video at that. This feels like it's the beginning of a new era for Overwatch. It's almost like they've got the game out of the gate sort of thing. It's really rough. It needs a lot of work, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. But now they're starting to communicate more with us, and I think this is a good sign, and I hope that we see more good communication on the topics that matter to the player base, not just random crap that no one cares about. These dev updates are cool, and I want to see more of this stuff, and I think we're going to see more of this stuff, and that's what's, you know, starting to quietly excite me about this game, because we are seeing them fix problems. You know, Aaron spoke about things on the maps they're going to fix, you know, and yeah, I could just sit here forever and talk about this, but this feels nice at the moment, and I hope they can build on this, and I hope they can start growing the game, and that will be really cool. Alright guys, thank you for listening and watching the video. I've been Stylosa. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and do go to unitlost.com/overanalyzed and submit your replays away. I'm going to bring back Bronze Heroes, and I'm also going to bring back Overanalyzed. I'm just trying to get that all sorted out, so do send your stuff through. Remember as well, replays get lost when the game updates, so if you've got any new stuff, keep sending it through. And yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.